Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Sotah, page 30, which discusses that after the Jewish people left the land of Egypt, were pursued by the Egyptians, and were able to go through the Yam Suf and were spared, they rejoicefully sang Shira. The words Az Yashir Moshe, which is part of our morning prayers, also found in the book of Exodus. Here the Talmud actually discusses the different possibilities of how it was actually sung. Is it that they all said it at the exact same time? Is it possible that maybe Moshe said a phrase and then they repeated it, or they only said the opening phrase over and over as Moshe continued throughout the entire paragraph of Az Yashir? But what's most fascinating is it tells us that this was not a phenomenon which was only recognized by the adults, or let's call them teenagers, but even the youngest of children were heavily impacted. The Talmud actually tells us that even when it came to a baby, which was literally on the knees of its mother, or a child who was still nursing, at the moment that they saw this great moment in history, they were able to lift their eyes up from their mother and to recognize, saying the famous Hebrew word, Zekeli Vanvehu, this is my God. And it's even brought down that even potentially in utero this was recognized. Now, of course, this is very hard for us to understand because we're dealing with extremely small children who are at the very first moments of their life, or even before that. But we see from here something that is really not so foreign to us, and that is the notion of how we speak even when our wives are pregnant. We find many people that will read to a child, and the way that they speak in the presence of the mother who is pregnant, that we're very careful, many people are, to make sure that everything is very pleasant, because it's understood that there is a strong possibility, and maybe it's more than just a strong possibility based on these readings, that a child is actually aware a lot more than we think, even at the youngest ages. And therefore it's important for us to recognize that. Also, when it comes to a child who, again, is quite young, and we may feel very free to speak in a certain way or to act in a certain way because we feel that maybe our children are too young to really pick up on all the different things that we're doing, on the words we're saying. They don't speak yet, they don't completely understand, they're too young. The reality is we don't know what a child at any age is actually grasping. And it's very possible that even though it seems like the child is not getting anything from your conversations around them, the reality is that they may. And therefore we could derive from here the importance of being extremely careful how we speak and how we act around our children, not only, of course, when they're older, but certainly also when they are at a very young age, to recognize that just as the little children were able to understand what was going on when the Jewish people survived the splitting of the sea, and they recognized this glorious moment when the Jewish people were singing, the reality is that your children could know exactly what's going on, or at the very least, know enough that it could have an impact on their lives.